what is this whole spy game, spy versus spy, and I think this is also the origins of things like James Bond and
Oh yeah.
that whole culture. So let's sit on the KGB a little bit. What's up?
So the KGB is the successor organ of the NKVD. The secret police or the whatever it is of during Stalin's time was called the NKVD. After Stalin, it was rebranded, reformulated, restructured into what was then later called the KGB. So the KGB was an elite institution. You could not apply to the KGB. You did not know where the KGB was. You know it existed. You knew it existed. It was everywhere. It was ubiquitous. It may be inside your house as well, but you never knew it. Anybody could be a KGB agent. Your own spouse could be a KGB agent. Your own child could be a KGB agent. The KGB was everywhere and nowhere. It was the elite. It was the Praetorian Guard. It was the soldiers that kept the wolves at bay. So you could not apply to the KGB. The KGB found you and brought you in. It was only the best, the cream of the cream of Soviet society that was inducted into the KGB, and they had various programs. They had embassies in all major countries, right? Diplomats would be there. They would be called residentures, and the chief of the embassy would be called the resident. That person was always a top KGB officer, typically a man. And they had various KGB officers in these embassies in the guise of diplomats. You would have some genuine diplomats and some would be KGB agents posing as diplomats. So these are the legal spies. They also had a program of illegals in which they would train youngsters, kids, in the language and customs and culture of a different country. Let's say they take a bunch of extremely bright kids and they teach them proper idiomatic, vernacular, colloquial English in the style of the US South, for instance. They are trained in that. They are trained and immersed in US culture, customs and all that. And eventually they are infiltrated into the US under false identities, which are the identities of recently deceased people. They have all the proper paperwork, everything, and they just fit into the US society. And then they are kept as sleepers for years, sometimes decades. And they are the illegals. So they would blend into US society as proper US citizens, have kids and all that. And then they would collect information and pass it on surreptitiously to the official KGB spies in the embassy via what's called tradecraft, various spying practices and all that. So various countries were battlegrounds for this.
How did all this information get released to the public?
Well, after the end of the Cold War, many of these former Soviet spies defected to the West, even during the Cold War, and they released some information. I don't remember the names right now. There was this very famous guy, Yuri Bezmenov, I think. And there were multiple names, multiple Soviet spies who defected to the West because for whatever reasons they were ideologically more enamored with the West or for multiple reasons. So there were multiple Western spies who defected to the USSR also. They were converted, they were brought into the USSR fold. There was this year called the Year of the Spy. Multiple American FBI, CIA agents were found to be Soviet spies. There was this very prominent British guy called Kim Philby, who had to be brought to Moscow to escape the West capturing him. And many Soviets also defected to the West where they revealed all this information. So eventually all of this came out into the public domain.
And the goal was, okay, now there's two big countries accumulating scientific knowledge and advancements and geopolitical advancements. Get information, send it to your own side.
What do they know about us? What information do they have about us? What things are they hiding from us? What are the real objectives? What are their long-term geopolitical plans in country X or country Y? Which next nation are they targeting for a coup so that they can become a satellite state of the US or the USSR or whatever? So there was this constant spy game going on, very high stakes game, very dangerous game in East Germany, in West Germany, across the European continent, in the various West European capitals, in East European capitals as well, in Moscow, in Washington, in London, in India, in the USSR, all across the world, in Africa, in Egypt, Massive spying operations were going on. So this is what the KGB was, and the US also had their spies. The Israelis were involved in this in multiple ways. They typically were on the side of the US. The Soviets were aiding Egypt and the Arab nations in trying to destroy the Israeli nation. There were multiple wars: the Yom Kippur War, the 6-Day War, the Sinai conflict, and much more. The USSR was involved in arming and aiding Egypt. Nasser Gamal Abdel Nasser, whatever the name was, the Egyptian strongman who is still recognized as one of the great heroes of Egypt. So there was a lot going on, very high stakes, and the prize was global supremacy.
Okay, fair. Simple questions. Firstly, all of the world's secret services, do they find their origin in the KGB or the FBI? Like, were those two the original ones according to you? Second question, I'm sure this system is still very much active in today's day and age. Possibly China is using it as well. I mean, it's a playbook that worked. Some more refined version of it must be happening in 2022 as well. What's your take on secret services, spies, etc.?
The former head of the Indian Research and Analysis Wing, RAW, Mr. Vikram Sood, has written a book. The title is The Never-Ending Game. That's all you need to know. It's a never-ending game. As technology progresses, it is all incorporated into the playbook. But the playbook is simple. You want to know everything the other side knows. And you want to be able to predict and anticipate their next moves. Because if it's a chess game, a typical regular chess player will think 1 or 2 moves ahead of the current move. A grandmaster can think 12 to 15 moves ahead of the current move. Not only my move, but the opponent's move as well. So the more you can look into the future, the better a chance you have of eventually prevailing over your adversaries. And it all comes down to the collection of data of intelligence, like they call it. So it's a never-ending game. It's an unending game. Every major country has an intelligence agency. The Pakistanis have the ISI, the Indians, we have the RAW, the Chinese have their version of it, the Russians have their own version of it, whatever it's called nowadays. The Americans, we know they have the CIA, the FBI, various other things. The French have their own version. The Israelis have the Mossad. Every nation that is a self-respecting nation with proper ambitions and a major player in the world will have such an agency and active operations going on right now as we speak.
What's your guess on which are the 2 most active ones? Probably America and China?
I would say America, China. If you would, I don't know about the top 2, but let's say top 5. The US, China, Russia, Israel, India, maybe France.
The top geopolitical powers.
Yes, and I would consider the British and the Australians to be part of the US bloc.